All right, so this is the day. Yes, here we are. Welcome everybody to the Saver Wire L+EARN financial education program. It is going to be an absolutely amazing hour together. We are so excited that all of you have tuned in and joined us today. I won't be able to see all of you, but you will see me clearly, and there's a chat function for you to chat so that you can interact with us. But it's going to be a great hour together. I want to encourage you before we get started, just to do whatever is necessary to minimize any distractions, all right? So if you need to move to another room or move to a quiet area or turn a cell phone off or turn off the television, do whatever is necessary, because the next hour is about you. It's really an hour that is designed to empower you and to get you into a better position within your life and your financial life especially. And so we're going to get started straight away. I want to kick off by welcoming you and saying thank you so much for your time. Thank you for choosing to spend the next hour with us. And as I mentioned, you are in for a great time. Let me quickly start off with some introductions. So my name is Darren August, and I am the host of today's webinar. And I'm actually going to be the host for the next 4 weeks. And it's my absolute pleasure to be with each and every one of you this afternoon. I'm not alone. I've got a team of people helping me to run this webinar today. Some of them you will not see because they are in the background making sure that everything is working fine. So we've got Teliwe, who's doing all of the administration, and she's doing the technical side of things. And then we have Crystal, who is monitoring the chat box. And so anything you need, if you have any issues, if you have any technical issues, just type in the chat and Crystal will get back to you and she will chat to you personally. Then I've got two special guests on the broadcast with me this afternoon, and they're going to say hello in a little while. But for now, I just want to introduce them, and then we'll catch up with them a little bit later on during the hour. First up, we've got Kaya. Kaya, do you want to do a nice wave so everybody can see who Kaya is? That's Kaya. We're going to get to know him a little bit later. And we have Komotso, who is our financial expert. Komotso, give us a wave there. Great stuff. Snaps for you. Okay, so the three of us are going to be interacting with you today, and I want to quickly just set some rules. So firstly, the purpose of today is really to give you an introduction into what you can expect for the next 4 weeks, all right? This program runs over 4 weeks, and so today we are really just setting the tone, setting the scene, and giving you an introduction into it, and then we're going to start diving really deep from next week. Please respect everybody that is on the webinar. Be respectful in your chats, be respectful in your questions, but there's no such thing as a stupid question. If you do have any questions, please type it in the chat function and our panelists will get to answer your question. Please follow the process. Try and engage with the entire process. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about how this whole program is structured, but we would love for you to engage throughout the 4 weeks that you are going to be with us. And then I've already mentioned, if you have any admin or technical related issues, just type it in the chat function. And then we will have Q&A a little bit later on as well. So when you do have questions, you can either type them right away or save them until we open up for questions, and we will get to you then. All right. So this program is called the Saver Wire L+EARN Financial Education Program, and it is brought to you by the ASISA Foundation. So just a little bit of background into who the ASISA Foundation is. They are a non-profit organization funded by the Association for Savings and Investment South Africa. So you'll see there that ASISA, okay, that makes ASISA. ASISA has been around since 2013. And the foundation, or the ASISA Foundation, initiates and implements meaningful consumer financial literacy and education initiatives targeting South Africa's most vulnerable groups on behalf of the savings and investment industry. And so really quite a few key role players that are involved in putting this program together, but it's all brought to you thanks to ASISA Foundation. So a big shout out to the ASISA Foundation for putting this together. All right, so the L+EARN program is the one that you are participating in, and it has been designed especially for you because youth we know that youth have very unique needs, very unique educational needs compared to adults. You're at a critical decision-making stage of your life where some of us are entering the world of work now for the first time. Some of you are going to be making very big financial decisions very soon. And some of these decisions could affect your financial life for the rest of your life. And so it's so important that you have this information right now, okay? Also, I feel like a lot of us are probably at the point where you are now starting to engage with some financial institutions like banks and loan providers. And so it's very important that you get all of this information, that you are empowered to make good financial decisions. All right. And so that is the reason why this particular program has been designed especially for you. But it aims to encourage financial planning for the future, and that's short, medium, and long-term goals. But it also is designed to help you plan with the money that you have right now. And even if that is a stipend or a bursary or an allowance, any income that you're receiving, you need to be able to manage that money wisely. And that is what this program is designed to do, and to empower you with that knowledge. A couple of other programs that are run or offered by the ASISA Foundation. We have WageWise. You'll see that on the top corner of your screen. The WageWise program is for employed individuals in various sectors. Then we have Build Up, which is for cooperatives and groups and savings clubs. We also have the RTFE program, and that is for retirement fund trustee education. So that one goes for people who sit on boards of retirement funds. And then there's another program called FLAME, and FLAME is financial education and micro enterprise training. That is for business management training for those that are managing small and micro enterprises. And then there is the L+EARN. That's why it's the big one in the middle, because it's all about you. And this is really targeted at young adults. And it is an amazing program. I've had the privilege of facilitating it for a couple of years, and we've seen just how amazing it is when young people start taking action and start owning their financial decisions and their financial future. All right. Okay, so why the L+EARN program? This program really aims to improve your awareness of financial concepts. You know, you're going to start learning some concepts that you might hear in the media or you hear adults talking about, but you're going to start understanding some of these for yourself. It also helps to improve your ability to identify debt traps, because I'm sure you would realize that so many people are in debt, and a lot of times it can take you years to get out of that trap. It's so easy to get into it. We're going to talk about it a little bit later, but much harder to get out of it. And so this program is designed to really help you identify those traps. We want to encourage you to adopt a culture of personal financial planning and saving. And of course, we want to equip you as young adults with the knowledge to make good financial decisions when you first start earning an income in a time of financial change, and in fact, for the rest of your life. All right, so before we get into it, let's do a quick poll. All right, and so right now, Kelly is going to put up the first poll, which is like a little quiz, and I want you to respond to the question on the screen by choosing the answer you agree with most. All right, so Kelly, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and you can put up the poll, and let's get the poll up and get all of our participants to vote. So you are going to choose the one that you agree with most. Is the poll up? All right, so the poll is up on the screen, and you can vote. All right, so you quickly vote. So the first one says, does anyone help you manage your money? You can choose one that one of the answers that apply to you. Number 2 is budgeting and understanding your financial needs and wants and paying your bills on time are all part of. Choose the answer that you agree with most. And then please scroll down all the way to the bottom, all right? You'll have to scroll down to answer number 3. And once you've answered all 3 questions, you can click on submit. Okay, we're going to keep it open for about 30 seconds while you quickly cast your votes and participate in the poll, and then we will end it. very interesting results that I'm seeing so far. We're just waiting for a couple more of you to vote. Only half of you, not even half of you have voted yet. So keep voting. Choose the ones that apply to you most. In the meantime, I see some beautiful comments coming through on the chat. Some of you saying so excited for this webinar, ready to go. Very, very great. How are we supposed to vote? You just choose the answer that you feel or that you agree with. So just choose the one that you'd like to. Scroll down to the bottom so that you make sure you've selected an answer for each question, and then you will click submit at the bottom of the screen. All right. Some of you saying you can't see the questions. Crystal will try and help you out there. But the poll should be up on your screen now. From the looks of it, it looks like most of you are voting and not having issues. About 77%, 80% of people on the webinar have voted already. That's great. A couple of you might be having issues. I'm going to keep it open for another minute, all right? Just to give a couple more of you an opportunity to vote. Manda saying she can't see it on her screen. All right, so let's go for 30 seconds more. "30 seconds more, and then we're going to end the poll and we are going to continue. Sometimes, guys, if you're using a phone, you might battle to see the questions, but just try. It definitely should come up on your screen. I'm just waiting for Kelly to tell me when we can end. Okay, we're keeping it up for just a little while longer. Okay, there's about 6 of you that still need to vote, just 6 of you. Everyone else seems to have been fine. Lebogang, very nice comment there from you saying, I'm so excited for the next 4 weeks and so driven through take control of my financial future. That's absolutely beautiful. Thank you for sharing that message there with us. Love it. Absolutely love it. Okay, I think, all right, so it looks like the poll has ended and we are going to move on. I'm going to put my screen back up and we are going to continue, if that's all right. Give me 1 second. Okay, let's continue. All right, so let me give you a little bit of background in terms of how this program is going to run. So firstly, the format of this program is designed to be inspirational, all right? And inspiration talks about us inspiring you to take action and to move forward yourself. Everything you need is already within you. We are just giving you knowledge, but you are going to take action. It's going to be informative. You're going to learn new concepts. You're going to learn familiar concepts. You're going to hear some things you've heard before, but it's all going to take on a new life. Then the program is going to include a lot of expert tips. We've got experts that are going to be coming through every single week to be part of this program. We've also included real life experiences. And so every week you're going to meet people who are going to share their personal stories with you as well. And it's designed to be very interactive. So please interact with us throughout the program, even on the social media network and channels that we're going to share with you in a moment. And there are prizes to be won, and that's always a winner. I get super excited. And some of it even starts today. So I want to encourage you to stay until the end. Please stay until the end because there is a special gift for you if you do stay until the end of today's webinar. All right, it's a multi-channel campaign, and so this program takes place in the form of webinars, which is what you are experiencing today. There is also a radio campaign happening over the next 10 weeks on 3 different radio stations. There's a very interactive closed Facebook group, and the details will be up a little bit later. And so I want to encourage you to join that Facebook group, because that's where you are going to be able to interact and also just get a lot more information from the ASISA Foundation and the L+EARN program. And then there is a dedicated website as well, where you will be able to access a whole range of information that is going to help you in this program as well. All right, so that is the Facebook page. So when you have a moment, please go and like the Facebook page, join the Facebook page. It's called the ASISA Foundation L+EARN. It's a closed group and you'll be able to interact there. Those are the radio stations that we're on. That's 3 radio stations: YFM, Gagazi FM, and Good Hope FM. And then that is the website on the bottom of your screen right now, which is www.asisa.org.za, and you will be able to access all of the information pertaining to this particular program. And so I want to really encourage you to avail yourself to that information and start implementing what you learn on all of these platforms. All right. The webinar topics over the next 4 weeks today is going to be just an introduction and an overview of the program. And then from next week, we really start diving deep. Next week, we start talking about planning with money, where we're going to talk about budgeting and communicating about money. Week 3, we're going to talk about credit, the good and bad of credit, and how to avoid all of those debt traps I mentioned earlier on. And in week 4, we are going to help you to now start thinking about investing and creating wealth. And so we're going to talk about short, medium, and long-term investing and how you can just start becoming rich. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so some of the focus areas when it comes to budgeting, we're going to talk about how it's so important for you to, even at tertiary level, to start planning for your money. Consider all of your sources of income and start budgeting. Then we're going to talk about credit, the do's and the don'ts. We're going to talk about what is bad credit versus what is good credit. And we're going to talk about your credit profile, because in South Africa, your credit profile is gold, all right? And so we want to get you to start understanding just how important that is and how you can manage your credit profile well. Then we're going to talk about savings, and we're going to talk about saving, investing, and really saving towards a goal. That's really a very important part of this program. We're going to teach you about compound interest and how that benefits you when you're investing, and also how inflation can affect you. What is the value of money over time? We're going to start teaching you that so that you understand that and you can start implementing it in your personal life as well. Then we're going to talk a little bit about risk. What happens on a rainy day? What happens when things go wrong? What happens when you lose your ability to make money and start generating an income? And what do you do when things don't go according to plan? How do you balance that risk? And how do you balance the reward when you invest? Should you just throw all your money into one pot, or should you do it, spread it all out? All of those things we are going to cover in the upcoming programs or the upcoming webinars. We're going to also talk about the financial landscape. And so we want to start teaching you about your consumer rights. We're going to talk about consumer protection. We want to help you identify the potential scams and the fraudulent schemes, and also the role of financial planners and financial advisors. And we want to start introducing you to the concept of financial advisors so that you can see what it is that they do, how they operate, and how they can benefit you as well. All right, and so let me stop sharing my screen quickly. I think there's 1 or 2 questions. I just want to check if I can take a question or 2 quickly. Will we get the recording of this webinar? What is the website? Okay, so I think the recordings will be available. We'll just confirm that shortly. We will share it on Facebook. Just join. There's a question. All right, is there a question? Let me see. What's the question? If you can just send me the question. If somebody can just type in the question again. I'm not seeing the question directly. website address, that is www.asisa.org.za. I'm unemployed and student, but I have an Edgar's account, which no longer can afford to pay installments. I don't want to have a bad credit score. I'm in university now. Great question. Please keep that question, Muhammad. We are going to cover it. It might even be answered today. So that's a great question. Okay, cool. Let's continue. And I'm going to continue sharing my screen right now. Let me get rid of this chat box on my screen because it's distracting me. Okay, so if you do have questions, please type them in the text box. But without further ado, I am going to invite our first guest on today's webinar, and that is Kaya-Lethu Mapongwana. Kaya is 33 years old. He hails from Cape Town. He was born and raised in Cape Town, but resides in Johannesburg now. He's been in the financial sector for the past 10 years. Kaya also refers to himself as a full-time or an active hustler. He can sell anything, okay, anything to make some money. But he's also a skills development facilitator. He's an assessor and a moderator. And Kaya is just so passionate about really empowering young people with his personal experience so that they don't fall into some of the same traps that he did. But I don't want to talk too much about his life. I'm going to invite Kaya to put his video and his mic on, and then him and I are going to have a chat, and you are going to be empowered. Good afternoon, Kaya. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Darren, and good afternoon, everyone.
So good to have you on the webinar today. Maybe let's start by you just introducing yourself and telling everybody a little bit about yourself, whatever I haven't said.
All right, no, I'm just going to repeat some of the things you have said. My name is Kaya-Lethu. My name is Mapongwana. I'm originally from Cape Town, 33 years of old, a young professional. I'm also a hustler. I'm also doing financial education talks.
Great stuff. Kaya, so let's get straight into your story. Tell us a little bit about what was your biggest money challenge as a young person starting out in your career?
All right, my money challenge started, I think, when I actually entered in the world of work, because having no knowledge, having no experience of having an income. So my life started to change because now I had an income. So now when I had an income and I started to have unexpected expenses into my life. If I can actually add the fact that immediately when I started working, I actually moved to Johannesburg. That was in 2012. So that's when everything started, because I was staying at home before, having minimal expenses, didn't have any traveling expenses that were much, but now I had to manage my personal life and my family life. So that's where the challenge started, when I actually had to adapt to the changes of my life. But financially, I was not ready to deal with the changes that were actually presented to me.
And so what are some of the issues that you found yourself in, or what are some of the situations you found yourself in?
I can say the round word for my situation was making the right decisions. I think I made some of the wrong decisions I've made have actually led me to be too much into debt. One of them could be, I can say I had to move to an apartment. I was staying at home. I was not paying any rent. As I said, we were just paying rates and maintenance. That's it. So I had to actually move to an apartment of my own. I could say also the environment that I was around also affected, because now I started looking around who was wearing what, the brand they were wearing, the car they were driving, and where were you staying. So I made those wrong decisions because I made decisions based on what I was seeing happening around. Also the overspending with no budget, just using whatever cash that I have, I would use it. And also not even making provision for savings, because I never thought of what's going to happen in the future. I was just living on today, which is now. So I would spend my money not planning for my future.
That sounds so familiar. I think so many of us.
Sorry to interrupt you there. I'd like to add this, whereby I can say, having an income, I would earn my income, but guess what? On the next day, the money is finished. And I have to now eagerly and be pressed and wait for the next paying day.
Wow. Kaya, so here's a question from Luyanda, and it actually ties into my next question for you. So I was going to ask you, how did you get around some of these challenges that you face? But Luyanda's question is, Kaya Letu, have you ever been in debt, and how did you get out? So maybe you can answer that for us.
Luanda, yes, I have been in debt, my brother. And it started about I remember it started when I was still in Cape Town, when I actually bought my first car. It was a second-hand car. Instead of actually saving up for that car, I decided to get a loan to get a second-hand car. That was the bad move ever. Getting a second-hand car, but to get a loan for that. And also, how did I actually get around it? I actually had to look deep down in myself to ask myself, am I happy with this life? The life has mentioned that the life of getting paid today, the creditors are taking their money, the following day I've got nothing. So that feeling of unhappiness made me to actually change, to say, Kaya, there's something wrong that is happening. I need to make some changes. So I had to look deep down in myself and ask myself, where do I want to see myself? Do I want to continue living this life, or do I want to live in a free, happy, and stress-free life?
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. Kaya, before we wrap up with you, how do you currently keep track of your finances?
Truth be told, I actually learned to have a discussion with myself, a self-talk, and having to know myself, what do I want for the future? So I actually adopted a budgeting system for my life. I know it's very hard to keep the budgeting, it's hard to keep to it, but I've learned to actually have a list of needs and want, to know what I need, to know what I want. So now in my budgeting, if I need something, it's going to be on my budgeting list. If I want something, it means I have to save up for it.
Beautiful.
So a budgeting structure for myself.
Great, great. So before we say goodbye to you, what money management tips would you share with your younger self?
With my younger self, I think somebody mentioned a question about having a credit or a clothing account while still in varsity. I actually call those, it's an early Christmas. No one can come to me and say, you qualify for so much. You need to question those things based on what? What did I do to qualify for that? I can say to my younger self-mates that you must not get excited for those early credit qualifications, early credit clothing accounts. If you need something, if you cannot afford something at this point, you must save up for it until you can afford it. Because the decision that you make today will affect your future. And based on what decision you have made, whether good or bad, your future will be determined by that decision.
Beautiful. There's one question in the question and answer that's come through for you, Kaya, and it says, do you have any financial advice for someone who has to move to a different city for work purposes?
That one, I know most companies actually would actually speak to you that we are moving you to another province. And how do you feel about that? In view of the fact that we always make this decision based on opportunities. I made it because I was like, okay, Joe, maybe there's opportunities for me there. But I think when you are moving to another province, and the surprise is that you're going to learn that you don't know there. But when you go there, don't just make decisions on what you see happening around. And I've learned yourself, stick to yourself and stick to what is good for you. Don't do this copycatting. Nobody should tell you, Darren, do this. Darren, what do you think about this car? Darren, what do you think about this phone, the upcoming phones? But you should actually make a decision that is based on yourself, based on your needs, based on your goals, and based also on your belief.
Great. Kaya, thank you so much. Don't leave. Stick around for the rest of the webinar. We might just come back to you a little bit later, but thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Thank you, Darren.
All right, let's continue. As you can see, Kaya made some some weird choices, but he's also made some good choices. And so next up, I actually want to bring on our financial expert to come and give us a little bit of input. So I'm going to invite Khomotso to switch your video on as well as your microphone. while I introduce you. So Khomotso Masongwa is a registered financial practitioner and a member of the FPI, which is the Financial Planning Institute. She has 19 years of experience in the industry or in the insurance industry. She's also the founder of a 100% female-owned independent insurance brokerage company. I've had the privilege of working with Khomotso on various programs so far. We've heard her on the radio doing some of the financial information she's going to share with you guys today. She is brilliant at what she does, and it's such a privilege for us to have her on the webinar today. Khomotso, big welcome to you.
Thanks very much, Darren, and welcome to our audience.
Khomotso, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to allow you to put up some slides, but I want you to analyze Kaya's situation and Kaya's story for us and tell us what you picked up from what he shared.
Okay, thanks very much for that, Darren. Basically, I'm going to give a view of how I would deal with a real client, of which Kaya is, and show a story through one of the tools I use to be able to show a client where they are in terms of their current financial situation and where they want to be and how we can be able to get there. It's a.
Do you just want to click slideshow so that we can see just your full screen?
Sure. There we go.
Here we go. Take it away.
Okay, great stuff. Thank you so much, and good day to everyone. Now, we've got Kaya, who came from Cape Town to Johannesburg and went through some challenges, but fortunately he managed to get some, learn through his experience, and now he's at a better position than he was initially. So from a financial advisor point of view, I'm just going to show you and give you a bit of tricks or guidance or advice as to how you can be able to maneuver around some of the challenges that you may come across. So here we've got a brief of Kaya. So what I've done is I've put in some figures like the salary and what it is, some of the expenses or obligations that Kaya has, just so that you're able to understand from a financial advisor point of view where we look at and how we are able to assist. All right. Now, Kaya did mention that when he moved to Joburg, there was a lot of excitement, but also with the environment, you are really intimidated by what people drive, what they wear, and where they live. So here we've got Kaya, who's earning an income of 240,000 per annum, which is about 20,000 a month. He then goes and buys a BMW because now he also wants to be on the same breath as his counterparts here in Joburg. Now, Darren, some of the mistakes that we make here, which I'll just elaborate a bit more on later on, is that Kaya didn't look at his income compared to what vehicle he was buying and the repayment. So we'll get to speak a bit more on that. Then what I got to know as well about Kaya, with the BMW, there has to be a proper apartment where he parks the car, which is Bryanston Estate. Yeah. And living expenses, Kaya is now wearing designer clothes. He goes to fancy shops. He doesn't do the local type of basic type of dressings and all that. And Kaya also has a family to take care of back in Cape Town. We call it family assistance, but I think there's a more familiar term called black tax. And so as you can see, a summary, Kaya is already over his monthly income. And this is where the stress comes in. This is where Kaya was saying he gets paid today, but 2 days later, he doesn't even have money to survive for the rest of the month. And that can affect your work progression. It can affect your health, your happiness, and all that. So it's a problem that we need to be able to help. But what I can say, Darren, is that people must not lose hope. If you are currently over indebted, if you're earning an income of 10,000 Rand a month, and another thing, there's a difference between a gross income, let's say the employer says, I'm giving you an income of 10,000 a month, And then what goes in your bank account is after the deductions like tax, you may take home about 7,800 Rand. Now, when you're working on things like your budget, you can't, or even a car finance, you can't work on it on 10,000 Rand because already you're starting on a back foot, which is now some of the mistakes that people are making at the moment. All right. So this is how Kaya sits at the moment. Now, after we had a talk with Kaya, this is some of the discussions we've had. We firstly needed to do a budget for Kaya to say, okay, Kaya, this is the income that you're earning per month. Now let's see currently what your expenses are. Kaya lives at Bryanston Estate. Kaya, can you afford it or not? Obviously you cannot. So Kaya, we then had a discussion for him to downgrade on an apartment, to go and find a flat whereby you're able to live there and be able to save some money. So there we managed to save some rental expense. And then we went to the vehicle. Yes, a BMW may be fancy for your status, but it's definitely not fancy for your bank account. So we managed to get Kaya to downgrade from a BMW to a Polo Vivo. Darren, this is where I think Kaya also mentioned about needing to be able to differentiate between your needs and your wants.
Yes.
I need to live under a roof. I need to be able to drive around for my work, but do I need to then have it in Bryanston, or do I need, it's all about, is it a home or is it a fancy place? So this is where Kaya is also talking to yourself that, is it really worth it for me to pay a rent of 8,000 Rand instead of finding an also decent place, but pay a rent of 4,000 Rand per month? Okay. Now, also when looking for a car finance, important to look at the things like the interest rate that you'll be charged. Also try and shop around, because you'll be able to see where other place you might be able to negotiate for a better interest, so that you'll be able to save in terms of finance charges. You need to look at other costs that comes with a vehicle being financed. Insurance, Darren, now we're looking at insurance for the car. If the bank says to you, I'll take this debt and give you the car, you need to pay on a monthly basis. The bank will also say, oh, by the way, you need to cover it comprehensively so that if anything happens, I'm able to have that debt covered. But what we also see as a mistake, what I've seen through the experience, through the years, Darren, is that a person would insure their car, but they wouldn't insure themselves. So what happens if you get involved in an accident, become disabled? Yes, the car will be replaced because you had it comprehensively insured, but then what about you? You become disabled, you can't go and work the same job that you're doing. You become unemployed, loss of income. What's going to happen?
Yeah.
So it's not only you losing an income. Remember, Kaya is taking care of family at home, the black tax, the family assistance. Now, who's going to take care of them? So we need to be able to also replace that financial provision. That is all Kaya's responsibility. So we needed to factor all of that. So fortunately, with the understanding and working together with Kaya, the savings that we managed to get from cutting down on his luxury wants or needs, to be able to survive now, we managed to have quite a bit of money left over, of which we then said, how do we then come and put you at a better off position now? So one of the important steps we did, we then got to, my apologies there, the living expenses. As I said, we then cut down on the branded clothing, going to fancy restaurants. Kaya did more of cooking at home, for instance, instead of always buying takeaway food at work. Another tip, if I can give, Darren, when going shopping, please don't go on an empty stomach. I promise you, shopping malls, they are perfectly centered around the food mall. I mean, if you look at a lot of them, you will go past one or two places where you can smell those spices. And you know what, if you're hungry, whether you like it or not, you will go buy that bite to eat. And usually when it's a takeaway food, it's not less than 60 Rand. That would be kind of comfortable to fill your stomach. So, but if you're full, you need to be, and then you go shopping, that should be able to assist you in not spending too much in terms of that. Okay, now with the savings that we had from Kaya downgrading on a few things, now we're starting on the real stuff. Emergency fund. Darren, what happened during this COVID-19 period? A lot of people, yes, they may have lost their jobs or even their salaries cut, but a lot we didn't have monies to tap in to be able to survive through the period. As we know that South Africans, we do not really have a savings culture. So I would give advice that as soon as you get your first job, do your best, firstly, not to live on 100% of your net salary. You need to have at least 10% of it going towards an emergency fund so that if anything happens, for Kaya, if there's a damage of the tires or even wear and tear, for instance, he needs to change his tires. Where's that money going to come from if he's exhausting his income on a monthly basis all the time? Okay, and now we also looked at saving towards retirement. I'll touch a bit on black tax. Remember, family assistance or black tax, it also includes the elderly who were not able to save enough capital to take care of themselves at retirement. But now, if Kaya starts now to save towards his retirement, it means that when he goes on pension, he's able to retire comfortably. Currently, about 6% of South Africans can retire comfortably. The rest are dependent on government. That's quite a high liability at the government that they need to pay on a monthly basis. But now, if Kaya has managed to take care of his retirement savings, when he goes on pension, then his children are now at a point whereby they are graduates or they're also now working for themselves or having their own businesses. Kaya does not have to be on their budget. So now what happens is Kaya is actually leaving a legacy for his children. He is cutting that umbilical cord of the black tax with his generation. The next one, they won't have to have that black tax, Darren. So we need to also know that this black tax issue, it doesn't have to continue throughout our generations. There is a solution for it. Okay. Now, in as much as we're covering all these important factors, we need to then cover the part of should life happen, disability, Kaya passes on. Yes, his debts need to be covered. By so doing, he needs life insurance, or he becomes disabled with my earlier example. He needs to be able to earn an income. And over and above that, his family is still needing that income, that money that he was sending to them to survive. So it's quite a bit of a responsibility that Kaya needs to also make provision for as long as he needs to be looking after the dependents on him. All right.
This is such good information. I want to pause there and just take one or two questions quickly. I think you've already touched on so much of what Mohammed has said. So he says, I'm 30 years old. I live in Cape Town. We're two siblings and I'm the eldest. COVID-19 resulted in me losing my job and I'm currently unemployed. I have an Edgar's account so that I could build a credit score, because so often you think you need to have an account to build up a credit score. And then what happens, because one day he wants to purchase his own house, and then both his parents passed away. And so obviously and he says expenses are literally stressing me out now. And then there's another question that came through saying, in your example where you mentioned that Kaya could downgrade to a smaller vehicle, would you advise for somebody to trade that car in and just take it to the bank? Or so the question actually says, where is this question now? It's gone. But it asked, is it advisable to give the car back to the bank or to sell it privately?
Darren, you know what, we've spoken through this presentation. I just wanted to, it's fine for me to stop sharing there. Okay, great. Please ask, you're saying, is it better to return the vehicle to the bank or sell it? Was that the question?
Yeah, or sell it privately.
Privately, yeah. You know, when you return a vehicle to the bank, there may be some amount which can be outstanding that you would need to pay in. So what happens is sometimes you'll need to try as best as possible to actually sell it privately so that you are able to get at least the settlement so that you don't owe the bank. But the thing is, Darren, you need to be able to be real with your situation as soon as possible, as early as possible. If by month, if you know in the next 2 months already you've got a hiccup with your finances, you need to start making arrangements or seeing how you're going to work around it, because it may not necessarily be quick enough for you to get a private buyer for a vehicle so that you can get that desired amount. So if you act much quicker, it can actually be able to help you.
Awesome. We are running out of time with you, Khomotso, but I want to quickly get 2 questions in with you before we say goodbye to you. The first one is, in terms of the role of a financial planner, at what stage in your life should you engage a financial planner and start having those interactions? And then the second question is, what can I do myself and how often should I be speaking to my financial planner?
All right. The importance and the value that a financial planner does to a person's life, I can say as soon as they finish their matric, get into varsity, you don't necessarily need to earn a first income to be able to sit down with a financial advisor, because we start at the basics. It's things like a budget. If you do not have a budget, you will not be able to know how you can control your money. You will not be able to know how to be able to prioritize between your needs and your wants and all that. So once you have that financial expert who's able to assist you with that, from day one, you'll start enjoying your money. And also what I actually wanted to add as well, Darren, is that in as much as you can make provision for those emergencies and life policies and all that, you can still make provision for your holidays. You can still make provision for your entertainment. So you're enjoying life through still making provisions, but you're able to comfortably go on holidays and all that.
Wow.
The last question, yes?
Go for it.
All right, then the next one is that financial advice, we've got a process that we follow whereby you do a financial plan, and the ideal one, minimum, at least you need to see a client once a year. So I can say that you need to see a financial practitioner once a year to be able to review your financial plan to see if there's any changes. But if throughout the year you've done changes, like you've changed your job, or there's a change in marital status, or there's death or newborn child, those are the things that need to be factored into your financial plan. Very, very important. It's just as important to open a bank account, to also see a financial advisor, so that as soon as your first salary goes in, you already have a plan for it. You already know how to spend it, so that you don't wake up the following day after payday and say, but where did the money go?
Yeah. Okay, guys, just we're going to see if we can get into more questions with Khomotso. But just a reminder that a lot of the information that you are hearing now and that Khomotso is sharing will be available on the website. So please visit the ASISA Foundation website as well. That's www.asisa.org.za. Click on the L+EARN program, and all of the information pertaining to this program will be there. So please, just a reminder to go onto the website. Here's a question from Lebohang saying, how do you know that a financial advisor has your best interest at heart, as well as insurance companies?
You know what? You are welcome to go for another second opinion. You're welcome to do that. We work differently, and it's true in the past few years, there have been not such good experience with regards to financial advisors. But Darren, if I can say, it goes as much as with other professions. I've been to a dentist who's supposed to do an operation or take out a tooth, but then they do something else, only to realize that we're not actually what they were projecting themselves to be. So you're always welcome to go for second opinion. But the thing is, when you see a financial advisor, it's not always all about you meet me the first time and then I sign you policies left, right, and center, or tell you where to invest or whatever the case may be. Firstly, you just need to, you can do a bit of research on that financial practitioner. You know, being a member of the Financial Planning Institute, it's such a great membership to have, because we are also governed by ethics. We are governed by rules, ways that we're supposed to be treating the customers, things that we need to do. So doing a bit of background on that advisor, doing a bit of background for yourself as well. If you're looking to have retirement savings, Google, you know, Google has got quite a lot of information. We also have things like Treasury having the retirement fund reform, talking more about retirement, how they're trying to work around the problems that we're facing currently with regards to retirees or pensioners. There's so much wealth of information that's out there. So also, let's try not to be naive and say, you know what, I don't have to know anything. I just have to depend on this person. That's where also we go wrong.
Okay, there's so many questions for you, but I'm going to try and squeeze this one in quickly. So is a financial advisor and a financial planner the same thing? And then the other question is, what does it cost to see a financial planner?
All right. I'm a registered financial practitioner with a Financial Planning Institute. All right. I'm currently also then starting towards becoming a certified financial advisor, which is then you'll have a trademark registered. You'll then be given that title to be a certified financial planner. So we do similar work, but it's all got to do with, in terms of qualifications and having done the board exam, if I can say, to be a certified financial planner. All right. And we also deal differently in terms of the fees. There are some advisors who can charge a fee depending on the type of service. There is also different commission structures. So each works differently depending on their brokerage or depending on the companies that they work for.
All right. Thank you so much, Khomotso. I think the information you've shared has been so valuable, and I'm hoping we can have you back on again. It'll be great to have you with us again. But don't say goodbye just yet, because we might say goodbye to you at the end as well. But thank you so much for sharing the information with us.
Thank you, Darren. Thanks.
Let's continue. I hope you guys are finding this valuable. I'm learning so much. It's absolutely valuable information that we're receiving today, and you are getting it for free. How nice is that? Okay, so we're done with Khomotso for now. We've taken a couple of questions and answers, but just in summary and in closing, we really want to urge you to participate fully over the 4-week journey. So maybe let us know in the chat right now what you've thought of today. Have you learned something? Has this information helped you? But really participate fully in the next 4 weeks. Come with your questions. I think we're going to try and structure it and try and tweak the time so that we can get a lot more of your questions asked to the experts, so that you, because like we said, this really is to empower you. Please be part of the Facebook group. There's going to be so much interaction there. Some of the questions that you may not have been able to ask on this webinar, you might be able to ask in the Facebook group. And then please do visit the website for more information. It's in the chat as well. You can check in the chat right now. The website address is there. And then if you've got any other questions for financial planners, send them through. Send them through so that we can give it to Khomotso or give it to another financial planner ahead of time and say, here's some questions that we've received, and get them to answer the questions before you ask them, or prepare before they show up. We are going to do one more poll. So there's another little quiz that we are going to do. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and Keliwe is going to put up the poll for you to vote and just participate in the last quiz. Keliwe, if you can put that up quickly. Remember that those who stay until the end of the webinar, you are going to be receiving a 150 Rand voucher from Checkers, okay? So that's everybody who stays until the end. So please don't leave until it's over. Stay until the very end, and you will be receiving a 150 Rand voucher just for participating in today's webinar. The poll is up, right? So if you can go and answer the poll, go and do the quiz yourself. There are 6 questions, so make sure that you scroll down to the bottom, answer 1 question per yeah, one answer per question, and then you will be able to click submit at the end. We're going to keep it open for a few minutes. Very few of you are voting, guys. Can you guys see the poll? Guys, we are monitoring the chat, and so any of the questions that we did not receive, that we did not get to today, Crystal will be keeping those questions, and we're going to get them through to the financial experts in the following weeks. And so we might get to your question during some of the upcoming webinars. So don't stress if we didn't get to your question today. Please send it through. The chats are recorded, and so we will definitely be able to get to your question at some point during the 4 weeks. Poll just vanished. I can't see it. Just check there. Crystal will chat to you and let you know what's happening there. Okay, looks like the voting is happening very nicely. Let me keep quiet and give you a moment to, to do the poll quietly and focus. This round of voting seems to be going much better. Looks like more of you are able to vote this time around. There is a weekly competition on the Facebook ASISA L+EARN page, all right? So there's a weekly competition where you stand a chance to win some great prizes. So I want to once more encourage you to please go and share, go and like the page, go and join the private Facebook group and participate. There's great questions, great prizes to be won. Don't forget to visit the asisafoundation.org.za website. Click on the L+EARN program, and you'll be able to access a lot of the information that was shared on today's webinar as well. Comment here from Lesejo saying this was very, where was it now? This was very something. She said it was very good. This was very useful. Looking forward to next week's one. Thank you. I'm glad you found it valuable. It's so rewarding for us to know that your time wasn't wasted and that you feel empowered by the information. Somebody saying great and fruitful session. Thank you very much, guys. You're welcome. You're most welcome. This is really for you. That's what it's aimed to do, is aim to empower you, to make you feel like you've got knowledge that you're able to implement in your life. Muhammad saying, so looking forward to it and valuable. Thank you, Muhammad. We're glad you enjoyed it as well. Don't leave just yet, guys. Just stay until the very end once I close off the session, so that we're able to just record who is on, and so that we can send you your vouchers. Session was so insightful. What a great study break. Awesome, Tando. Thank you so much for your comment. Thank you. Guys, you're welcome to let us know what you guys think about today's webinar. Please type it in the chat. I'd love to hear that. Somebody says, that's awesome, not just for the prizes, but it will also help me retain information, probably become more engaged. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Galaxy. Okay. Somebody else says, if I only knew this stuff back in primary school, I would have made better decisions with my income. Very insightful. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Andrew. That's a beautiful comment. Anastasia saying, is it Anastasia? Yes, Anastasia saying, I think I will eat now every time before going shopping. Yes, even if there's one thing you leave with, you know, I learned that today. Don't go shopping on an empty stomach. Eat before you leave home. I thought that was just brilliant. So great stuff there. Very well informed guest speaker, great stuff. Thank you. That's a shout out to Komotso. Well done there. Somebody says thank you. The session was informative. Can't wait for the next session. Thank you, guys. Thanks, Casey. Thank you for your comment. All right, so the poll has ended, and I'm going to take that down. And let me just put my screen up one more time, just as we end of today's program. But really, guys, from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you so much for being so engaging. Thank you for engaging with me. Thank you for engaging with our guests. Khomotso and Kaya, if you can put your videos back on, and you can quickly I'm going to just allow each of you to say goodbye and just maybe give a tip for the week or a financial tip, but give it in 10 seconds, all right? Let's start with you, Kaya.
All right. I've also learned one or two today. I'll continue to say, stay true to yourself, stay true to your goals, and make the right decisions.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Khomotso, final words from you?
Darren, all I can say is, firstly, accept your reality. If you are earning X amount of money, don't try and compare yourself with another who's got the money, because you're just getting yourself into a horrible lifestyle and it won't be fun. Accept your reality. Draw up your budget, stick to it, and have fun while doing it. Money needs to be a friend to you. It doesn't need to be an enemy, and you do not need to be a slave to money. Thank you.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much for that. Guys, and that really brings us to the end of today's webinar. And it has been what a start, what an amazing kickstart to a 4-week program that I believe is going to leave so many of us feeling so empowered. And so really from our side, we want to thank you for registering. We want to thank you for showing up. We want to thank you for staying until the end. And one more time, let me just remind you all, please go and join the private Facebook group. Please go and visit the website, click on the L+EARN program so that you can get a lot more information pertaining to this program. Send through your questions ahead of time so that we can prepare the financial planners and the experts to give you the answers that you're looking for. But other than that, from my side, my name is Darren August. It's been an absolute pleasure being with you this afternoon. I wish you well, and I will see you next week. Have a great week, and don't shop on an empty stomach. Bye-bye.